Easy people, welcome back to my channel at Big Steve MCFC. And I've got a very special guest with me today, Martin from the Mancunian Way. How are you doing, my mate?
Very good. How are you?
Good, mate. I'm a bit bored. I can't lie. I've watched a few seasons of shit things on Netflix that I didn't really want to watch. I'm watching the news. There's not a lot happening, mate. I don't know about you, but pre-season for me is a killer.
I'm having a rest. I'm just resting at the moment, recharging, because I still feel like I'm on last season. I don't feel like it's ended.
No,
Maybe it's just because I'm still on cloud 9. I don't know.
Yeah, I think everyone feels like that. I think a lot of people still can't believe it. A lot of people still can't believe it. A lot of people are still like processing it. I think because after the FA Cup against United, we didn't have long to sort of savour that moment. We just got thrown right into the Champions League final and a treble. So I don't think anyone had time to process it. But listen, we're going to start about this time last year, right at the beginning of the season. We made 3 signings, Ortega, Alvarez and Haaland. I think everybody was over the moon with the signings. But can you remember last season going into it and thinking, what was your expectations? Was you thinking Champions League? Was you thinking Premier League? Was you just thinking anything? Or was the signing of Haaland giving you that confidence, thinking we could finally do it?
So for me, it's always Premier League.
Yeah.
Premier League is always my bread and butter, like you said. Go back to Shankly and all them days. It was always your bread and butter. Win at home. And it was weird. It was a weird season because I'm sat there, I think it was about January time, maybe even a bit before. I think we just after Brentford, when the whole fan base went into complete and utter meltdown. And I'm like, we're second, relax. And the thing was, we were a bit distracted, we were a bit off colour, but we were second and everyone had just gone into absolute meltdown and chaos. And I'm like, you got the Norwegian meat machine. It was just let him settle in, let him relax. Still couldn't believe we'd signed him. So, and then the rest was history. I felt like from December I was calming everyone down. Felt like I was a bit of a psychiatrist, just relaxing everyone, while everyone was having this complete and utter meltdown. I'm like, second is no sort of crisis. Relax. We're not playing well. We'll get it together. And then the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, we know that we always sort of come into our own late in the season. I mean, I was pretty calm and relaxed. I'm always trying to be the calming voice of the fan base when I can. Started the season relatively well. Erling was scoring goals. We didn't look in any problems. And then obviously Arsenal started fantastic and they got the noses in front and they didn't look like slowing down. But we just had to keep on the coattails till we knew the business end of the season would come and we can crank it up. And I think when we get to that point of the season, that is when Manchester City kick into gear. I think Martin's froze. Don't know if he's froze there. Is he froze?
No,
but oh, you're back. But no, it was just a case of taking every game as it comes, worrying a little bit about Arsenal. Then we had this sort of lull in the middle of the season where Erling Haaland was having like 2 touches a game and no one was passing to him and everyone was getting a bit mad. And then obviously Pep decided to change the fullback situation, the Cancelo situation, Ruben Diaz coming back, and then it all just kicked into gear. But just talking about individual players, I think the Ruben Diaz coming back was massive. I think we needed him. He was a leader. And I also think that Nathan Ake and Akanji this season have been unsung heroes. I mean, Akanji, 14 million, I think it was. I mean, what do you think of his season?
Really, at first I was a bit not too sure. Because I'm always honest, I wasn't too sure. I was a bit iffy with his heading. There was a couple of games, remember, where he was like he had lead boots on and he couldn't get up. And then he had that little switch to the fullback. And my biggest concern with him was the Brighton game at home. Remember that when Trossard absolutely roasted him, destroyed him, and I thought, I'm not sure. And then he's never looked back. And it was one of them. It was like he'd been there a long time. Diaz, I think I said it on City Extra on the Avengers show. Pep was very clever with that. He brought him out the team, and most managers are throwing people in straight away, coming back from injury, and we didn't. We sort of left it and let him come back fully fit, and he's never looked back. It was like a brand new signing coming back with Diaz. It was I just loved it.
No, I think you're right. And he didn't rush him back. He sort of kept him on the bench for a few games, in and around the squad. Then he came back in and he kept it going. And then I think Akanji when Diaz came in, it helped Akanji. I think when Ruben talks to him in games, he's a lot more calm. I think when Ruben's not there, I think he can go a bit missing sometimes and get a bit mad. But, I mean, for a player to come in, he went stagnant at Dortmund. He probably came in thinking he was going to be a bit part player. Didn't probably think he was going to do what he did. And you've got to give him credit. You know, he came in, he took it as a fresh lease of life. He got involved in the team. He knocked a great player out of the team in Emmerich Laporte. And he literally made the position his own. And Pep Guardiola started to trust him. And I mean, if you're playing for Manchester City week in, week out, you're not a bad player. And no. You know, we've got to give him credit for that.
You got the special. You have to. I keep saying it now. To get in this 11, you got to be a damn good player. We don't have also Rance just waltzing into our team. You know, and this is why it annoys you when I see other fans and other teams bitch and moan about money and everything else. I'm like, no, the deals are out there. You need to get a better scouting network. You need to go and do something, because if City can go and find a 14 million Akanji, a 14, 15 million pound Alvarez, your scouts can. Yeah, they're not doing the job right.
It's a little bit of jealousy, and it's very easy to criticise Manchester City when your team's not doing what they should be. Let's all throw shade at Man City. Well, we can't do it because Man City are this and Man City are that. We get it online all the time. It is pretty laughable, to be honest, and pathetic.
Jealousy.
But you mentioned him just there, Alvarez. What a season that kid's had. He's won the World Cup. He's got his big money move to Manchester City, Premier League. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the Champions League. He's won the Premier League. I mean, I think he scored 17 goals or something. I can't remember. Don't quote me on it, or 11 or whatever. But, I mean, it's not a bad season for a young kid coming to a new league. And we knew Erling was going to be the man. We knew all the pressure was on Erling's shoulders. But Alvarez chipped in. I think he chipped in well this season with some vital goals. And I think next season, he's going to be the one to watch. I mean, how do you think his first season gone in the Premier League?
I know me and you spoke about this privately. I think he's done really well. I think some of the expectations on him were a bit too much too soon. You know, Aguero, Tevez, I'm like, no, just let him be Alvarez. You know, I always remember the kids had no pre-season. I think he played the most football out of any footballer in 2 years? Yeah. He rolled out of the Argentina League, rolled into the Copa Libertadores. From there, straight into the Manchester City team, straight into the World Cup team, and then this is where we're at now. Is probably his first time he's had a proper rest, where he's not had to think about football. But I think it's always hard when you're coming in and you know you're number two from the off. I think it's a very hard thing, because I don't think anyone expected Haaland to play. I mean, look, the other day, he played over 3,000 minutes. But I think Erling probably expected that, because all we heard is that he was a big lamppost that spent his time in an ambulance. That's all we heard. And he's played 3,000 minutes. So Alvarez has done so well. Do you know what it is with Alvarez? I want to see him on that right at the front three. I know I've spoke with Lewis about this and he laughs at me. But I can see him being our David Villa. along that
just
front
playing
three.
on the right. Where do you think he should play? On the right-hand side?
You could
just
have
let me get this
Grealish,
super chat here.
Haaland, Alvarez.
No, that's a good front three. I can see it happening. Haaland Ballon d'Or winner, thanks Erling Haaland 0923 for the super chat. When you said about the pressure on Alvarez, I think though, coming to a new league, if we'd have bought Alvarez and Alvarez only, I think the pressure on Alvarez to be our main striker this season would have just took him under. So I think what City did is they did him well. He came to this and he thought to himself, you know what, I might not score many goals this season, but Erling Haaland, everyone's on him. He's a superstar. So I think City played it right. And this season coming now, this is where Alvarez has got to go, right, well, I need to step it up more now. Maybe Pep can think of a system where they both can play. Like you said, maybe you could go out on the right. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. But for such a young kid to dominate football and have all that collection of medals already at his age, it blows your mind to think about it, doesn't it? And I mean, one thing you get with the South American players is hunger and desire. And they always keep going. They always want more. Whereas, some of the European lads, they seem to drop off towards the end of their careers and they sort of filter out a little bit. And you think to yourself, you look at people like Dele Alli and that, who had the world at his feet and he's gone right off the rails. I was reading something about Pochettino today talking about him. And it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs, you know what I mean? But
I rated
Alvarez, Dele Alli was brilliant, in my opinion. I thought he was on the verge of going world class, but you look at him now, he's partying in fucking rough gaffs in Manchester with balloons and that. He's definitely
like you say, it's the mentality thing. It's do you want to? And Alvarez seems to have his feet on the ground. Many people think I'm mad when I say put him on one of the wides, because the thing is with me, I don't look at right or left as a winger. I never look at us as having wingers. I look at us as having front three forwards who just do what they need to do. And like you just said, he's got to force his way in. And I'm thinking, can he do that? I just think doing the KDB role, don't think he's quite strong enough to do that KDB role. Because I go back to the Leeds game, the West Ham game, he was pushed off the ball very easily. Because he's only slight, he's not a big lad. But so I think, not too sure, because I thought he could be, but that looks like it's going to go to Phil. So where else do you want him? Because, if you don't want him, you want him to play a lot more than he did last season. Or
his
you
first
back
touch
into a
as well,
Gabriel
sometimes.
Jesus situation.
His second touch is a tackle because his first touch is that bad. Sometimes he's got to improve on his first touch. He can shoot, he can dribble, he's got pace, he's angry, he's aggressive. But sometimes his first touch, when the ball zipped into him, he's not perfect. I mean, if he had Riyad Mahrez's touch, he'd be the best in the world, but he hasn't. But no, I think this season's going to be a great season for him.
Yeah, it's exciting to have these young lads. Absolutely exciting. And to think he's 22 and he's won everything.
No,
it's just a tip. It's amazing.
Well, going on to this season, Cancelo. Yeah, we had a situation with Cancelo. There was a lot of things coming out of the club about attitude, and he didn't get on with this, and he wanted to leave, and all that. And one thing Manchester City, as a football club, don't tolerate is a bad attitude and sad faces. We're not used to it. The last few years under Pep, we don't really see any players throwing the toys out the pram. Even Gabriel Jesus has come out the last few days and mentioned that he decided he wanted to leave because Pep dropped him against PSG and all this, but that was kept under wraps. It wasn't brought out in the public domain. It didn't affect our season. This got leaked out. Cancelo put himself in a position where, in my opinion, I believe, I was told it was due to a conversation where Pep said he was going to change the system and play Nathan Ake at left back, and he didn't like it. So, but look, it worked. It worked. The proof's in the pudding. It worked. I thank Pep. One thing we got to give credit for with Pep, other fans will say, oh, well, he did it with this, and he did it with that. He's got more money and all that. But he had to come up with a formula and a system mid-season because we wasn't at the races. Arsenal were running away with it. We were dropping and stumbling and fumbling about. We needed to correct it, and he did. He changed it to the back four with the inverted fullback and all centre backs. And I don't know if you've seen it. I spoke to Gail Clichy on my interview, and he said, when you play two attacking fullbacks like Cancelo and Walker, the first thing in the mind is to get forward, get on the overlap, and get going. He went, but you get caught on the counter attack and you're wide open if you play them kind of fullbacks. So Man City's goals against, a lot of them came that way. Like fullbacks getting caught up the pitch and we're getting overrun and bang goal. So he decided to play 4 centre-backs. And he said the natural thought process of a centre-back is defending first, advance up the pitch second. So what you're getting is, you're getting Nathan Ake giving the ball to Jack Grealish in 20 yards of space, Grealish being able to turn, go left, go right, do what he wants. When Cancelo was playing, you had Cancelo giving him the ball 2 yards away from the edge of the box because he was right up his ass, and you didn't know what to do. So that whole tactical change for the fullbacks worked, and it made our wingers better, in my opinion.
I said that. I said, I'm sat. What was it? I did a watch along last season. I'm sat there and I'm like, and I don't know why I said it. I just come out with, I said, why is Cancelo trying to hold Grealish's hand?
Exactly.
I said, they're fighting to do the same job. And this is why I did a lot of defending on Grealish. Everyone thought I was Grealish's agent. I wasn't. My point was, you can't have a go at Grealish because he's at the moment, he's doing it with one arm time behind his back. He sat there going, well, Cancelo's running past me. What can I do when Cancelo's going to where I'm meant to go?
It looks a bit condensed on the pitch. We were too tight together in spaces.
There was no space. There was no space, no room. Nobody could do what they needed to do. And I go back to the Newcastle game, 3-3 earlier on in the season, when Pep said about Kyle Walker. And that was the problem. If you've got, same with the wingers, because I've heard people go, Sane, I want Sterling. It's like, if your first focus is go, you've got 2 fullbacks that want to go, 2 wingers that want to go, and then you've got a slowish midfield, like Pep says, if you don't take those chances, then you're screwed. Because everyone else is then out of position. They break on you and go. To me, now it's like an army unit. They go as one. The defence goes, the midfield goes, the attack goes, and then they all come back. Jack Grealish now is coming back, defending. Look, that one against Tottenham, the one with Salah. And I don't think Cancelo would ever do that because he could bomb forward, but then he couldn't get back.
Yeah, and it just Nathan Ake on the other side was the same. It just seemed to gel. And you look at our last 12 or 14 games, we wasn't conceding goals. We were tight at the back. We were going into games thinking, we're rigid here, we're tight at the back, we can be patient and we're going to win. Whereas the old sort of City, you was like, yeah, we're dominating games and then we get pushed forward late on. Nottingham Forest away, for example. We get our noses in front, 1-0 Bernardo, and we carried on bombing forward. They catch us on the counter-attack, put the ball across, score, 1-1. And then coming out of Forest, I came out of Forest and I sat in the car and I was driving back and I thought to myself, are we going to win this league with this team? Because at the minute, it doesn't seem like it's consistent and everything we've done over the last few years has been consistent. And I believe after the Forest game, then the Tottenham game, and then especially the charges being announced, and then us getting dragged all over the media and Pep coming out with that Pep conference, I believe that press conference of Pep just took us as fans to a different level.
Oh, that was like Winston Churchill moment.
It was.
I'm not being funny. I wanted to run through a brick wall for the guy. I wanted to run through a brick wall. I sat listening to it going, I want to get on that pitch on Saturday against Villa. I want to be on that pitch against Villa because he inspired me. I was like, and if you notice, atmosphere went up.
Like, yeah, well, I was due on Sky Sports News, and I was a bit flat about it, and I didn't know how I was going to approach it, because I thought they're going to try and hang me out to dry here on Sky in front of everyone. They're going to try and take the piss. And then when Pep did that conference, and I thought, yeah, man, I'm having this. And when I went on there, I was like, look, you know, you've upset Manchester City Football Club. You've upset the boss. He's our leader. You've galvanised this football club from top to bottom. Now it's us against the world. We don't care what you think. We're all behind the manager. We're behind Khaldoon. We're behind Mansour. You've seen the atmosphere at Aston Villa. You've seen the banner, Panic on the Streets of London. Now you're going to see a different Man City, and we're going to have it. And they were like, oh, yeah, big talk. Big Steve talking a lot of fucking talk. But Big Steve was right, because from that day forward, we fucking had it. All of us. The South Stand, the Family Stand, the Tunnel Club, the fucking stewards, Moonchester. Everyone was after fighting. We didn't give a shit, man. You throw stones at our football club, you're getting them back. Whether you
it was like Main Road days to me. I've never felt the Etihad like that. The only other time I've had the Etihad like that was Hamburg in the UEFA, if you remember that. In that second leg. That was when it really ramped up that night. But other than that, it was always, I want it like, we always talked about how do we get it back like Main Road. Because some of them nights, Main Road was bouncing. Don't get me wrong, there was some utter dross shit nights where we all didn't want to be there. But there was other nights where the place was bouncing, and we always felt we needed something to get that atmosphere in. And I've got to give the fans, like I said, normally I'm sat in the Family Stand singing on my own like a prat. I'm normally there like
the South Stand this season went up and not.
That's what I mean. I normally stood in the Family Stand singing on my own, with everyone telling me to, you know, shut the F up, sit back down and don't sing. And I'm like, no, you're all right, I'm going. But this season, you know, Family Stand were doing the Poznan.
No, it was brilliant.
I saw the Tunnel Club doing the Poznan.
So did I.
And I'm like, yeah, this is different. And then from there on in, every home game, you know, all I heard against Arsenal, all I heard against Liverpool was the atmosphere of Anfield, the atmosphere, you know, wait till Arsenal come to the Etihad, you know, Real Madrid, all about heritage and this, that, and the other. And I sat there going, you have no idea what you're coming to.
Mate, this is what we did to him. We put them into a trap, because Liverpool came there, got slapped up. Arsenal came, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Got absolutely terrorised. And then the Real Madrid game, we said in the season on a couple of my streams that there's a couple of special nights yet to be had at the Etihad Stadium. And we got one in that Real Madrid game, where we went out to the Bernabeu, and I fully believe what we did was a stitch up. We went to the Bernabeu, and we decided in the Bernabeu we wasn't going to show our full deck of cards. And I believe that City played very, very pragmatic, and I think they played very, very safe. And I think the plan was get Real Madrid back to the Etihad, let them think that we huffed and puffed in the Bernabeu and that's the best we've got. Bernardo Silva didn't beat Camavinga once in the Bernabeu, right? No. I mentioned this to somebody who works with Pep on the week of Real Madrid, and his answer to me was, he might have done that on purpose. And I went, what do you mean? And he went, you'll see. And I thought, he's told Bernardo not to go past that Camavinga in the Bernabeu. The first minute at the Etihad, Camavinga's getting roasted. Real Madrid were looking as if to say, this ain't the same fucking team that turned up the other week. The crowd was like a baying mob. And literally, before they knew it, Real Madrid hadn't touched the ball. We'd killed them. And the Real Madrid paper, Marca, said, we got dragged into a trap. They left a trap. That Etihad Stadium killed us. We didn't know what had hit us.
Well, I think Vinicius Junior said it as well, didn't he? Said that we were not expecting that. We weren't expecting it that raucous and everything. It really sort of, it scared him.
Big up Eddie Kenyon, £2. Great work, guys. Blue Moon. No, and I believe that he fucking, you know, Pep knew what he was doing. And then he called Rio Ferdinand that week and said to him, watch what we do to Real Madrid. And Rio mentioned it on BT. He told me he's going to do this. And
he said, we were about to texting him and all that, It's when Pep was saying, I told you, didn't I? That I told you.
And that was a big night at the Etihad. I think that night was when I took a step back and thought, this team's special here. This bunch of fans have got behind them. And listen, we get endless amounts of shit online as fans being on the public YouTube and that. Nobody is coming for my club on my watch. I don't give a shit. And I'm on them shows and I defend them to the hilt. But I'm different this season. We've won the treble. We've won the Champions League. I don't care. The rival fans have got nothing left, man. They're relying on a Premier League case. That is it, to crack us open. And you know, that'll come to fruition soon. And everything will be smiling.
You mean all the lawyers? Everyone's a lawyer and a solicitor.
I've never seen as many internet lawyers in my life, mate. Never seen as many. But the thing is, that game for me, all the people that were taking the piss out, the Etihad, it's the Etihad and all that, they ain't got a fucking clue, mate. You try and get a season ticket at the Etihad now, can't get one. You try and take your kids to the Etihad now if you haven't got a season ticket, you can't get a ticket. You try and get in that South End. So people ain't got a clue. They go on Twitter, they listen to Dave, he tells them that, the Etihad's not sold out, and they take it as gospel and go on there and talk shit. But I don't mind that now. You rival fans keep calling it the Etihad, keep saying that this stadium's crap and all that because all your teams shit themselves there last year. Simple as that. All rival teams shit their pants at the Etihad. Facts. So this season it's going to go up another notch. 1894 groups getting more and more involved. Yeah. They're growing. So the Etihad Stadium, I think the club have finally realised that this stadium can play an important part. The young and old connection. I've tried on my channel to sort of bridge the gap. And I know on the away games, we've kept it going.
I've sort of tried to do it between the old and the new. Not so much young and old. I've done it between the old and the new. My big thing is about teaching the new ones. Not teaching, because that sounds, I don't mean it in that way, in that, arrogant way, but because I have a philosophy. I don't mind if you supported Manchester City for 5 minutes. I don't mind if you supported Manchester City from Timbuktu. All I ever ask is learn the football club.
Yeah.
And it came from because there was a couple who watched Haaland scored in the left. And I'm like, no, that's not happening. No, I'm not having that. Don't come here, Haaland scores, bang. I was like, no. Learn about the club, because I was talking to one fan who went, who's Colin Bell? I went, just put it in. The Jinska, put it in. And I'm one of them, learn about it, because our fan base is very different to any other fan base. We're very educated. We know our football. We know our shit. We know what we're talking about. And that's why, you said it on other shows. I've said it. No other club's had our journey. No other club fan base has had our journey. And I tell you what, they'd all swap it in 5 minutes. When I sit there and I actually hear a rag, a United fan, tell me that they're sat in 6 and they're in a crisis, I laugh at them. I'm like, you have no idea what a crisis is. Be at a point when you're nearly bankrupt. Be at a point where you can't afford to pay wages nearly. You know this, Steve. We were a few games away from getting the buckets out at the main road to keep us going.
We were fucked.
So, but at the end of the day, and we've gone from there to there, and they don't like it. They don't like it, and they don't know what to say to us anymore, because we went to Villa, we went to Forest, and it was show us your European Cup.
That dickheads with the phones against the glass for European Cups and all that.
I remember being at I moved seats for the Bayern game, sat in 1-1-1.
If anyone says now, where's your European Cup? I'm just going to go like that. It's there, mate. It's fucking there, mate, and it's heavy, and I've lifted it. Come on.
Very heavy. I used to think the Premier League were ever. No, but I was sat in that Bayern game, and I was obviously 1-1-1. You're right next to the away fans. When they unveiled their big protest of what they were doing about and all this. And their faces, when that third goal went in, they didn't know what to do. Their faces were like, oh, shit. What is going on here? They couldn't believe it, because everyone has come in with this cocky, arrogant heritage attitude. If I hear the word heritage again, You know what I mean? I'm sick to death of hearing Heritage. Like they've got some divine right to come in and slap us around.
That's
No,
well, I was on the
don't.
Big Six show, yeah, and obviously Liverpool, Grizz Khan, Chelsea, Matisse, Saeed, always. You know, I was arguing with them, no problem, beat them all in arguments all day, but then they come out with a stick that twats you over the head and goes, "Where's European Cup?" And then you're like, "Oof, kicking the bollocks, innit?" But not anymore. Not anymore. My European Cup's fine. I've got one. I even bought one. I've got one. And not only did we win the European Cup, not only did we do that, we went and done the treble, the sacred treble that could never be done and all that. We went and done that. And not only did we do the treble, we beat you on the fucking way to the treble where you had a chance to stop the treble. So that makes it even
did a
sweeter.
three-peat and did a three-peat that everyone said would never be equaled ever again.
No, well, listen, it's joyous. And this season now, all I say to Man City fans is this. According to them, nobody cares about City. But I wake up every morning to 20 DMs about Man City off rival fans telling me how shit we are, how the stadium's empty, how we've cheated, how Pep couldn't do it if he managed Oldham Athletic. I wake up every day to them. So let me tell you about this. Them that say that, they care more than you know. So if they're talking about us, they care about us. So at the end of the day, embrace it, enjoy it. Don't be frightened of having a little bit of attitude and a bit of arrogance because they've had it for years. So if Arsenal won the treble and Arsenal won the European Cup this season, do you think they would be sat online humble as toast and not saying anything? Because they wouldn't. They'd be ramming it down our throats. They'd be ramming it down our throats.
Not just that, Steve. We've also done the domestic.
Yep.
Clean sweep that no other club's done. 100 points that no other club has ever done. So the simple fact is they can sit and keep, United fans made my childhood a wreck. Stockport fans made my childhood a wreck. Oldham fans made my childhood a wreck. But I walked around with my City bag on, proud as punch round school, look at me, and, getting beat by Bury on Valentine's Day with Frank Clark in bloody charge. So I don't mind all that. Throw it at me. But the biggest enjoyment I take out of all this right now, I look at United fans, I listen to United fans right now and I go, you're us from 20 years ago.
Yeah, they are. They're struggling to deal with it. They're struggling to deal with it. I never thought it'd switch like that. They're struggling to deal with it. They're getting ran ragged on and off the pitch off Man City. Commercial level.
It's because they're swimming in piss.
Exactly, mate. You only have to fix the bogs. I sent them a tube of roof and gutter sealant a few years ago. Out of my own pocket, I sent them a tube. They never even sent it me back. They must have fucking used it. But it is what it is, man.
You want to walk around in zebra pants, kicking doors in and then saying they haven't done. You know what I mean? It's like...
Long may that continue for me. I love to see that.
You want to do a protest where 20 people turn up.
We were Swales out years ago and they were laughing the balls off. You know what I mean? We were throwing fucking steel fences at the main stand entrance and police horses getting involved with Swales and Peter Swales getting egged and stuff. It was mad, yeah. But at least we knew how to protest. At least we knew how to protest.
Steve, we're the only fan base who protests a guy out, protests for a guy in, and then 5 years later votes protesting to get him back out.
Yeah, we got a guy in worse than the one that went out. So
yeah, we sat there protesting to get Franny Lee in, and then 5 years later wanted him to piss off. So yeah, we were like,
at least Peter Swales. Peter Swales was mad, but he was a City fan. Swales, he was. Yeah, and you look at,
I think that was part of his issue. Part of his issue. That. Do you know what it is? The biggest thing for me this year, and I said this about 3 weeks ago. City-itis has gone from me.
Yeah,
I don't have City-itis anymore. It went.
Yeah, I'm different now.
And I sat there from February going, and I did it as a joke. I called myself the treble father. I just sat there as a joke one day and I went, going to win the treble. And this was back in February and we got the Chargers. I thought, because I've done it last season, I called myself the quad father. I thought, I'll do a bit of tongue in cheek. And then I'm sat there week by week and he changed it as 3-2-2-3. And I thought, he's done this 3-2-2-3 because he learned from Madrid. Sorry, I know that's heartbreaking for you last season in the Bernabeu with that song. You and Daps getting it out of your head. But it was, I just watched it going, he's learned. And I don't think Pep gets enough credit. The fact that he adapts. People say he's no plan B. No, he has got a plan B. It's like this, everyone's now adapting this 3-2-2-3 with the inverted fullback or the inverted defender. Don't worry, because Pep will change it again soon. Pep's not stupid.
He keeps it fresh.
I just can't wait. But thing is, Arsenal fans don't learn. I'm being told now that they've got the best CDM in the world. 2 weeks ago, they had the best CDM in Party, and they wanted him out the door now for Rice. Yeah, so he's now the best CDM, and they're going to win the league. They're going to.
You know what though? I'll be honest with you.
Fans haven't learned.
The Arsenal fan base is mad because there's about 5 different sides to it. Like you can go and stand outside the Emirates and you'll meet a lot of guys there, and you can talk football, genuine football with them all day. But the ones online are just wild, man. They're just wild, and they don't like you saying any. You can say 200 things about Arsenal that are positive, and the second you say one negative thing, they're on your case. Do you know what I mean? But that's what they are. Listen, they've crumbled the league. Whether you like it or not, they bottled the league. They bottled it, not us. We just carried on doing what we do. Consistency. They bottled it. They've spent a load of money now. So they've got to go and win the league now. Nothing short of winning the league is acceptable. After the season they had last season, they have got to go and win the league. So their standards and their pressure from their own fan base now is insane. We don't have to win shit, mate. We just won the treble. We'll do what we do. We'll just keep doing what we do. We're relaxed. That's the difference. Our fan base is relaxed. We're calm. We trust the manager. We trust each other. We talk on these shows. We don't criticize. We don't rip players apart. We don't cause divides. We stick together. And who's the team that's winning? Who's the fans that are enjoying themselves the most? Us, because we're relaxed with it. But I do think next year will be hard. I do think when you're on the back of the treble, when you're on the back of the treble and everyone's strengthening, it's going to be tough. But just moving quickly on, I want to mention John Stones. I mean, what a season Stones had. He's iconic. They're coming in from the right into midfield, running around like Beckenbauer. I mean, Pep Guardiola, that's the effect of Pep. 2-3 years ago, Wolves were teetering on putting a bid in about 15 million, and I don't think any City fan would have been asked. And look at him now, you know what I mean? And that just shows you in football how fast things can change. But tell me about John Stones. I mean, what do you reckon this season? Is he going to carry on in that midfield role, do you think?
He's not called Johnny Stones. I renamed him Johnny Lamb because I just thought he was... And they said, I owe my hand up to this. I was one of them fans when he first come. Like 50 million quid. You know, if you remember, he was dropping bollock after bollock, left, right, and centre. He was getting injured every 2 games. And I'm like,
I think his lifestyle was. I think his lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this guy, and he just kept. You know, I was at the Everton 4-0. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? When Tom Davies had killed us, and
he's shit.
Exactly. I think Sterling missed an open net at that game as well, if I remember. But the guy has matured so much, and he's a Rolls Royce of a footballer, and he's a typical Pep player. Because I always say this: when you look at our defense, you look at our CDM, it's unlike any other roles. But we're not just diffing down, kicking out, clear it. It's about bringing the ball out, passing it. It's not just a 5-yard pass. It's done with a purpose. It's done with a target in mind. And Johnny Stones is he's not moaned. He doesn't bitch. He doesn't complain. He just gets on with it. And he does everything. I mean, the United game in the final, that pirouette he did on the edge of the box.
Yeah, he turned and got himself out.
No, the players got the set to do that.
No. Well, Pep said a few years ago he's got balls, didn't he? He said,
yeah.
Do you know who's got bigger balls than John Stones?
And I tell you, as soon as he did, I was like, "Whoa, yeah, have some of that." He just did it so eloquently, and I'm like, "Yeah, I love him, absolutely love him." And 50 million now looks like a snip.
Well, I think he's focusing on football now. I think he had his off-field problems. I think his relationship was up and down. I think he was living in apartments and things. And then now I think he just thought, you know what, it's a short career. I'm playing under the best manager in the world at the best club in the world. I need to get my head down. And it must be so exciting when someone like Pep Guardiola comes in and says, look, I want you to play fucking right back / defensive midfielder / false 10 and get where you can and do this. He must think, you know what, I'm having it. And
well, at one point, it was false 9.
That's what I'm saying.
It's further ahead than Highland at some games. I'm like, where's he going?
No, it was unbelievable. And like you say, Stones in the midfield was a big plus. Listen, we'd have to have a 3-hour show if we talked about everyone, but I just want to touch on İlkay Gundogan. I mean, İlkay Gundogan was Pep's first signing. He arrived on crutches. He left a legend. I mean, this season was his best season for me. Massive part of Manchester City on and off the pitch, arriving late in games, scoring goals, assists. I watched a bit of a season review back the other day, and you do forget how many important passes, goals that İlkay Gundogan came with. He's moved on to pastures new. I don't think anyone begrudges him that. I think, you know, it's a lifestyle change, but it's a big loss, Martin, in the middle. İlkay Gundogan, we've signed Kovacic, bit of a different player, but are we going to miss İlkay, or will Pep figure out a way of getting somebody late in the box like İlkay and arriving in that? You know, what do you think?
I don't think we'll miss him because I don't think we miss players. I think Pep's too clever for that. But him as a player, like you said, arrives on crutches. And, you know, a career-ending back injury that most players don't come back from. And you think, not too sure. 27 million quid or something it was?
Yeah,
you know,
cheap.
Looks like a bargain now. And you think, yeah, and to me, he's matured each season. You go, but it was always the pressure moments. Because let's be honest, for me anyway, Gundogan never turned up till about February, March, properly. He had that very good season, remember, when he played the false sort of 9. You know, when he came in late from deep. Go back to the West Brom game when we beat, was it 5-0? That night where I've never seen football like that. It was like just everyone was moving around for fun. I think whoever was it, I think Allardyce was manager at the time of them. And he's like, everyone was just moving constantly. Like no one had a position. And İlkay Gundogan was just coming in late, scoring goal after goal after goal. Last season or season before, the Villa game, Johnny on the spot twice, cool as a cucumber. And then what a season he's just had now. And you think, you know, for me, robbed a goal of the season away at Everton. Robbed a goal of the season. Thought that was messy. That'd be getting replayed 3,000 times an hour on YouTube, on Sky or wherever. I just, you know, I met him once. Nice guy, really nice guy, friendly. I think it was the right time.
I agree.
When you can just tell right time to go. And I don't begrudge anyone. And the reason why I don't think we'll miss him is we've adapted every time we've lost. We've had all these when we lost Aguero and we lost Company and we lost Yaya and we lost David Silva, everyone was like, we're never going to get him again. Everyone was Foden's going to be the guy. And he wasn't. He wasn't ready. He was too young for that role, in my opinion. But Kovacic, don't watch Kovacic for Chelsea. Watch him for Croatia. The guy is like a transitional footballer that will go from box to box, will spray the ball around for fun. He's 28, 222 appearances for Chelsea, multiple cup winner, including European Cups at Real Madrid. And you think, and by the way, we got him for 25 million, same price as Gundogan, 7 years on. I think that will be the steal of the season. But, you know, everyone tells us that it was 250 million because it's Manchester City. No, it was 25 million, but everyone again tells you we spend silly money. I just can't wait to see the guy. You know, looks like he's Croatian teammates about to join him. So we're going to have some of them Croatian boys in. You know, let's hope they're not like Charlie and only does a season and then disappears again. You know, Charlie
different times.
Of course. Yeah, of course. But it's going to be some. I can't wait for Kovacic. You know, I thank Gundogan. And do you know what? I don't blame any player when they've done 7 years. You know, his wife just had a baby. Let him go and have a bit of sunshine. Let him go and enjoy, you know, his latter years in Barcelona. I think we forget this. They're not Mancunian. They're not City fans.
No. I think Kovacic was going a bit stale at Chelsea. His time had run its course. I think under a new manager, under Pep, rejuvenate him, get him going, give him a boost, tell him what he wants from him, come into the European champions, treble winners. I think Kovacic, he's aggressive as well and angry. He can rattle a few if he needs to. I think sometimes early in the season, City were a bit of a soft touch. I think Erling Haaland was the one throwing his weight around. He's a young boy, but he's big. But I think in the midfield, there were people getting done in. And we didn't have a Fernandinho type to come on and rattle a few cages and play it cute. I think Kovacic brings that. So I'm expecting that from him. You just mentioned it, Guardiola. I think they're down the line with that deal. I think he's perfect. Centre-back, young, aggressive, left-sided. I think he's everything we need. Laporte looks like he's on his way. And then there's 3 other players that are getting linked with moves. And I think it depends if any of these go, whether we need to dip in and get any more reinforcements, because it's a bit of a tough one. If they're still around, I don't think we need anyone. Bernardo Silva, Riyad Mahrez and Kyle Walker. If we lose any of them, 2 of them, 1 of them, I think we've got to go in the market somewhere. But I don't see Kyle Walker wanting to leave at this stage of his career to go Bayern. I don't, unless Pep says to him, we're going to play the inverted right back and you can't play it, then I can see him going. Bernardo, we have it every season. Every season we have the same thing. Bernardo Silva wants to leave. Little bit tired of it now. He's won the treble. If he wants to go and we get good money for him, he can go. And Riyad's not probably played as many games as he wanted, but with the Saudi Arabian money landing on people's doorstep, turning heads, that might happen. What do you think?
I don't think Mahrez goes because he's got a Mancunian missus. He's got children with. Now I got told his former partner from over there he's got kids with as well. So then it becomes a question: does he want to leave England for Saudi Arabia? Because his kids now might want to leave, but his kids from a previous relationship he might not want to leave them behind because they're not going to up sticks and go with him. So no, Mahrez, don't think he'll go. Bernardo, I do think he'll go. I got told the other day, contract's been on the table for over a year, unsigned. Been there. This isn't the first rodeo of sitting down trying to offer him a contract. I think it's just a personal reason.
Yeah.
The guy wants to go, but someone has to come with the money. PSG turn up, the reports today, they're ready in an €80 million bid. Then fine. Thanks for your service. Wish you all the best and go and enjoy. I wouldn't like to see him go to Saudi because that's a bit backwards of what you've told us for 3 years. And you've said it's not about money and we've offered you an extension and more money. And Kyle Walker, my only concern, I'd love him to stay. Concern on Walker is the contract's been on the table a little while now. I think he's mulling things over. I don't know anything. I think he's just because it's like Gundogan. I'm skeptical. I don't know, but when I look at a player who's had a contract on the table for a few weeks and it's not signed, you're clearly looking at another thing as well because that's not your first choice. Otherwise, you've signed it and we've gone home and it's all done with.
I think he wants to play, and I think it's pretty obvious. That's what it is. He can't play that inverted fullback. He tried it. He comes in the middle. He loses the ball a lot in there. Kyle Walker, let's have it right. If we're coming up against pace, we all want Kyle Walker on that pitch. Vinicius Jr., You know, players like that, we want Walker on the pitch. When we're coming up against teams where we can dominate, we want John Stones on the pitch at right back, coming in the middle. But it's whether Kyle wants to take that bit part role, or he wants to
keep him in case we might not even get Real Madrid.
Exactly. You can't keep a player just for 1 or 2 games a season.
You know, not someone like Walker, who deserves far better than that. Listen, I hope he stays, but again, he's what?
Walker using Bayern Munich for contract leverage, someone said there, the Mad Hatter. You never know with that as well.
No, you don't. You really don't. Bayern Munich are weird for me at the minute. It's like, I don't know what they're trying to do. They've gone for Walker, Kane. It's like, Tuchel just wants to come back to the Premier League. That's not happening. That's definitely not happening.
No. And listen,
I know we don't like it too, but that's been and gone. That's maybe we'll go back to it one day. I don't know.
So for me, you know, the transfer market, people are messaging me every day. Why are we not signing anyone? We're not doing this. We're going to be left behind. Just relax. Like I say, a lot of players are still on holiday. They're coming back this week. So I know that you're going to see movement. We're the treble winners for a reason. We've got the best fucking team in the world. You know, so we don't have to buy 6 players.
You know, I can say, maybe this is me just wild theories. Hear me out on this. Real Madrid want Mbappe.
Yeah.
Real Madrid don't really have a lot of money anymore. The Bellingham and everyone else. They've got a pack full of load of midfielders. And to me, this is me going, well, but 2 birds with 1 stone. PSG have said Mbappe is going to go this summer. And they don't care where he's going to go. They'll just sell to the ice bidder. So Real Madrid will have to move this summer, otherwise they'll lose him, which means then they're probably going to come after Erling in 18 months, 2 years, or whatever. Whether, you know, they've got to pay the money, that's a different thing. I don't know why, but maybe it's me, but Valverde is the nearest thing to Bernardo I look at. They need the cash. We take Valverde off their hands. They can then go and get Mbappe. We've got Valverde as the replacement Bernardo. And they've got Mbappe, meaning they leave Haaland alone. Now, maybe I'm just playing wild scientist with that one. I don't know. But I'm just sat there thinking, because I'd love Valverde. I mean, my number 1 would be Kimmich. But I do think we'll go after a midfielder. Who that is, I don't know. I do think they want another midfielder because I do think at some point Bernardo will go. I don't think the club will let him go for free.
Do you not think we need a bit of creativity in there? Because when De Bruyne doesn't play, we seem to struggle to find big Erling with them through balls. I think Rodri's always side to side. I think Bernardo was just busy in the middle. But Gundogan, you watch the review. Look how many passes Gundogan puts through to him. So we're going to miss that. I like the kid at Napoli. I like the Georgian kid at Napoli, but Napoli and Man City don't want that ain't happening with them two.
They won't deal with Napoli.
No, that's what I mean. They're always falling out. But so there's a few conundrums there. I think Pep's not got his head on it yet. I think he's been away with the family. I've seen him at the Silverstone Grand Prix, so he's having a good time. But there's plenty of time. You know, there's decisions to be made over James McAtee, Oscar Bob, Cole Palmer, Harwood Bellis, James Trafford. So there's all these things. The academy needs to freshen up because, you know, Charles is going to Southampton. Like we say, Trafford is supposed to be going to Burnley. There's talk about Romeo Lavia being available again. So there's all sorts going to happen in this next few weeks. But I just think people got to relax. We're in a good position. We've got a lot of money to spend. You know, we're not rushing into it. And sometimes teams can rush out early in a transfer window, cut their own throat and buy players. And then late in a transfer window, one deal could trigger a bit of a domino effect and there could be bargains to be had. So I don't think City's showing a full card there. I think I think Harry Kane's going to move late in this window. If Man United get took over, they're going to go for Kane, I think. And I think Harry Kane's going to move in this window. He's going to suss out this Tottenham situation. And I think he's going to move. For me, why don't Newcastle go and get Harry Kane? They want to make a statement signing. They want to be up there.
They can't because of FFP, can they?
Well, according to what I read, that Mike Ashley kept him in the profit that much that they can spend fucking 400 or 500 in one window because it doesn't fall into it.
From what I've heard, it was 75 mil plus whatever then they raise after that. I think they're still hyping him because, even though Ashley had kept them in the black, it wasn't a great business deal when it comes to sponsors and all that. He never brought any money in for them because it was all going into his own back pocket.
I don't see Kane going to Bayern Munich when he's 40 odd goals off.
No, the United one's a shout, but they would have to get taken. They'd have to get this takeover sorted out. Whoever it is, I don't even know where we're even at with that anymore. No, because again, they're begging for oil money. The hypocrisy in that one is unreal. You sat there with Mark Goldfish, jumping around his bedroom, going, they
earn their money, so they're allowed oil money.
Yeah, well, that's what I said to like City of me. I listening to some Newcastle fans the other day, talking about that documentary that suddenly appeared on YouTube that was very panorama-esque, but people didn't realise City had already shut that one down and stopped that going on the BBC. But if you watch it, it's the most one-sided hit-and-run documentary you've ever watched. They talk about stuff that they've already been to cast and dealt with, but they're regurgitating it as brand new news. And everyone's like, well, do them, throw them. I'm like, hang on a minute. It's just hypocritical nonsense from these people who couldn't find Old Trafford on a map with a pair of binoculars in both hands. They wouldn't have a clue.
Desperation, innit?
And that isn't having a dig at people who don't go to games because I'm not, there's different reasons people don't go, but don't sit in your bedroom with your green screen telling everyone how what's good and what you're pure and you're this and you're that when you weren't saying anything when you were banging $2.5 million on Gary Pallister. You weren't saying anything when you were buying Paul Parker. You weren't saying anything when you were stealing Dennis Irwin from Oldham Athletic. Nothing when bloody, Ryan Giggs was nicked out of our academy because he was ours before he was ever theirs.
Yeah.
But you never hear that because the truth's boring and isn't a good party line. So
listen, we deal in facts as a football club now, and the facts are this. We're the champions of Europe, we're the Premier League champions, we won the FA Cup. Their toilets are still leaking, dripping down the stairs, stinks of piss. They've got no new owners, and life's looking good. We've got the Super Cup coming up in Greece. We've got the World Club Cup coming up in Saudi Arabia. And as a City fan right now, there's no better fan base in the world. So whether people want to call us all they want, we're used to that. We're not asked. We can take that on the chin. Do you know what I mean? We've been there before. We've had Stockport County and Macclesfield and that telling us
I've had it 40 years. I'm not asked.
You know what I mean? We're seasoned to this shit. So the younger guys relax. But all I'm going to say is, Martin, we're an hour in, mate. It's been a great show. I had loads and loads to talk about, but I don't like to waffle for too long. So let's pencil another show in, me and you, and then we'll talk again. But tell everyone where they can find you.
Tell everyone.
Yeah, we'll do it. Tell everyone where they can find you, mate. Big up your channel. Tell them what you want and what you want to do, and go for it.
Yeah, Mancunian Way on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Horsey City. We are 36 away from 2K. That is it. 36 people away.
Come on, people. If you can't get Martin to 2K, then we want to wrap it up, man.
It's free. Costs you now. And it's just, we do shows, during the season, it's 3 or 4 times a week. And we literally do 2-hour shows. We get fans from all around the world, old and new, young and old. Steve's been on. Daps has been on. LB's coming on from City Extra at some point. We've got loads of people come on from all around the world, all different walks of life. And it's just good fun. It's some dinosaurs chatting away about Manchester City, about the club we love, you love. And yeah, this is the thing. We're a community. We all love the same thing.
Yeah, we all help each other out. I struggle to post when I'm pre-season, I'll be honest, because I'm like, I don't want to regurgitate all the same old shit all the time, the same old transfer things. So, you know, I did a few different things. I did the Gail Clichy interview. I've done the Paris Saint-Germain. Did the Paris Saint-Germain documentary thing with Stuart. And we did
was intriguing. Found that really intriguing, that.
It was good because people presume Qatar money, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, everything's rosy in the garden, but it's far from rosy over there. So he had a good perspective of what he was saying. If you haven't watched that interview, me and Parisian London are on my channel. It talks about Qatar ownership and how they've sacrificed the local community and the life and blood of the team and the town and the city for this Hollywood glamour. So, you know, we look at these ownership models, and we're quite fortunate. We've still got connection to Manchester. The club keepers in the loop. In Paris, it was more about Nike Air Jordans and Kim Kardashian and shit like that. So it was really good to watch. We also did the 1894. They came on the 1894 group, told us a little about what they did, what they're doing, where you can see them. So we're trying to keep it different. I've got some things lined up in the next few weeks. I can't really say. I'm waiting for them to come off, but hopefully there'll be a new direction for me. But no, I appreciate the support. I appreciate Martin. It's been a great show, mate. We've always said we've just never found the time. We've always said, oh, we'll come on and we'll do it, but we never got to it. But I enjoyed it, mate. And like you say,
it is. And Community Shield's next. And I know that's a dodgy subject, and I know not everyone's going to go. But I've donated, but I'm also going to go. Well, I'm going to go down when they eventually release the tickets. And that is.
I know, we're still waiting. I got. I think the Super Cup tickets are coming out. I'm going to that. I'm going to Saudi Arabia.
That, but nothing about Community Shield. And Arsenal's are nearly sold out of theirs. They're nearly done and dusted with theirs.
I know we're behind again, but listen, people, it's just over an hour. You've had an hour live of me and Martin talking everything Man City. Thanks everyone in the chat. You've been brilliant. And listen, people, keep the faith, relax, chill out. We're still European champions. We're still the treble winners. We've not even got to sing that to anyone yet. That's all coming. And this week, I guarantee your transfers will start moving, and we'll see some good stuff. So from me and Martin, I'll see you soon.
Take care, all.